Okay, so we're going to be adding some colour and warmth to our sub bass, essentially adding some harmonics and noise to give the bass more presence, help it to fit better with our rhythm, add a bit of vibe to it, and of course help it to cut through on smaller speakers. So let's have a listen to our loop. So as you can hear, I've gone for a really simple pattern so it's easy for us to hear what's going on. And that's just playing a sine wave. So what we're going to do now is look at some different versions of the sine wave with some colour added to them. And we can just compare that back to our basic sine sub. So the first method that we're going to look at is designing our own harmonics, adding our own harmonics. And we're going to be doing that by clicking on the oscillator tab. And let's first just play this back so you can see the sine wave in spectrum. You can see that simple single fundamental. And if I just draw in a few, there they all are represented. And the height of this, just the volume of the harmonic that we're drawing in. Now, when we want to add some warmth to it, one nice tip is to right click, select even. And then we can only draw in even harmonics, and that tends to give us a slightly warmer sound. The odd ones can bring that sort of abrasive edge to it. So let's have a listen now. So you can hear a clear difference between the two, but what we really want to listen to is how it sounds with everything playing. So you'll hear how A, that's much easier to hear now, but B, it does change your perception. It almost sounds a little bit more bouncy, this one, when it's played with a drum loop. Let's move on to another example. This time we'll leave operator exactly as it was, and we're going to add some warmth by using the dynamic tube device. Crank up the drive all the way. Again, let's just bring up spectrum. You can see those extra harmonics getting added. I'll solo this out so it's easier to hear exactly what's going on. Now that sounded pretty good to me straight off the bat. In isolation, you can hear there's a bit of sort of growliness at the top, and we could bring that down using the tone control. Like so. And it's entirely up to you. It's best to make these changes when you're listening to the loop, because that extra growly stuff, you might not like it in isolation. You can't tell when it's got the loop playing, and actually it might just be bringing the whole vibe, the whole sort of tone of the loop up. I like going with algorithm C for this. A and B are a little bit harsher. As you can hear, let's try a bit of bias. That's sounding quite nice. So again, there's your comparison, and we'll move on to the next one, and then we'll try them all out against each other with a loop playing in a second. So for this third method, we're just going to be looking at adding some filter drive to the sound. So in each of these operators, I've had filter algorithm PRD selected. This is one of the new analog filter algorithms that have been added in 9.5, and these add some really, really nice coloration when they're driven. So again, you can try any of the algorithms. I'm just going to crank this up straight away and let's have a listen. Now, I've already compensated on the output volume here. Obviously, if we're turning the volume up and driving it into the filter, the overall volume of the synth goes up. So make sure you turn your output down first. Let's have a little listen now and compare between each of them. So that top one is just our sine wave, then the one where we designed the harmonics, one where we added the dynamic tube, and finally one where we added filter drive. Let's have a listen. Filter drive is definitely my favourite. It seems to be cutting through that much better and it works with the groove really nicely. So as always, I hope you found these quick tips useful. I've got some very cool stuff coming up for you guys in the coming weeks, so make sure you don't miss out. Hit subscribe and I'll see you on the other side. Take care.